Hey, good morning, everybody. How you doing?
Morning.
I think everybody's getting a late start today, huh? I'll give everybody a moment or two to get on. Anybody do any open houses this weekend? Any gauge on how things are looking?
Our team had a few open houses this weekend. We started to see an increase in people coming to visit. Last couple were really quiet.
I guess they're just accepting the reality of where pricing and rates are. So I want to just I want to get started and talk about what would be the biggest value that we provide to our team. Like, when you talk about being part of a team, what comes out first? Interesting question, isn't it?
Morning.
Good morning. So Lynn, what do you think? Like, if I said, hey, what's the benefit of joining your team versus just going at it alone?
I think part of it is they get a little bit broader in exposure. We market a lot for the team, but I think for the buyers and sellers, one of the things that they're getting is constant support. If somebody's not available, there's always someone else there that can help them and be an expert to guide them.
So that's like mentorship, right?
Yes.
So I put down these or benefits: mentorship, culture, and culture is learning, discipline, consistency. With the right culture, you can have a predictable outcome. Skill set, mindset, role play training, leads, transaction management, and marketing material, and kind of being able to borrow the success of the team. So when you go out there, I see your chopper coming on. If you go out there and you say, hey, I'm part of the Chopper Russo team, and this is how many properties we sold, it makes it a little bit easier for them to conduct business. What would you put down as your number one or two things? Anybody else? How about I see Glenn's on video. You have, like, what would be the one of the top things that you talk about if somebody's joining your team, Glenn?
Digital agency.
Technology. And I assume that helps them be more efficient and produces more leads, Glenn. Is that the angle?
Yeah, the mindset from the start is that selling houses is a consequence of what we do. Our business is lead generation. So I don't care if you want to sell a house. I want to know that you can generate and nurture leads.
Gotcha. And Julie Vanderbloom, you have quite an impressive team. What would be the one or two things for you if you're able to talk?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great. I think honestly it depends on the audience when I'm sitting down in front of them on what I think they need most. But the first thing that pops into my mind is a synergistic team that truly trains a skill set and offers support for servicing that will differentiate you from others. So really the collaborative approach to being able to offer more to our clients than other teams or single agents can through collaboration, training, consistent education. And then I'll go into all the different things that we do with teaching them how to lead gen versus providing leads, and that the leads are the frosting on the cake, but the real cake is learning how to produce your own leads where you're not paying referral fees and you're using the tools we have to generate your own, almost your own brand within our team.
And I guess some of the outcomes to that would be like they can pretty much, if they follow the blueprint, they can have a predictable outcome, Julie?
Yes, and I stepped in late, so the only thing I heard was like, what do we tell a predictable income? In that, yes, they could, but it's really what they put in, they'll get out. And we have a proven track record that those who don't follow use scripts necessarily, but our checklists and, we have procedures and very, very strategic approaches to all the different nuances of buyers, sellers, leads, depending on what it is. And each one is trained, and we use Whale, which is a really good training program and live training, but it's more if they do what we train them to do, we can show proven results time and time again with the agents who do it versus the agents who don't, and who's more successful than not. So yes, I would say it would be predictable.
Fantastic. If we don't have maybe like a mission or a vision statement, maybe we ought to refine that so that we can attract the people that we're looking to attract, and lead with our top value. I know, technology, I think Julie kind of summed up a culture of accountability and a lot of ways that you can, tap into the resources to be successful. But for those of you who are newer team leaders, I think having a clear answer to, what's 1, 2, and 3 to being part of the team. And then, inspecting and seeing how your team members, fit, with those values and benefits that you provide. I know later on we'll be doing role playing with one of the team leaders on the call. How many of us, and this is not a question I want everybody to answer, but how many of you are doing, role playing? How many of you are, actively taking your team members on appointments with yourself when you do a listing, not because you need them, but because they can learn from that experience? I know, Julie, when you came to our meeting in New Jersey, you had mentioned that, compensating newer team members and their perspective and your perspective were completely different. And I hadn't forgot that, where if you take them out on a listing opportunity, they really should be paying you as a team leader for the education instead of worrying about whether they get anything 10% or 25% payment on that. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I mean, we do, technically it's paid training for them, but we do give 10 to 25 to even 50%, depending on what they do. The brand new agents are, the minimal is 10% they get to build their confidence, to learn. So I never go on a marketing presentation by myself.
You always want to bring somebody
to train someone new. Just
but that Julie, that stuck with me, that theory.
It's more for training. Like I always use it as a training opportunity.
Yeah.
Versus just helping me get my stuff done,
Yeah. And I don't know if many of us, as team leaders, are outwardly looking to bring people to model what we're doing, or if we're like, hey, I got this one in the bag, I'm not going to bring anybody. But I think that training opportunity is, is something that we ought to take a look at as we try to develop our team members to be independent.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. And it's, I think our at least the superpower I feel that creates my successful team and is the confidence that they learn and the collaboration, talking to other agents about the experience, because when they're new, they don't know anything and they appreciate everything. And this is when you're instilling these habits into them and they hear, like, I'm a visual learner. So for me, that's how I teach, is that you have to be there, you hear, because it's every presentation, we don't even have like a PowerPoint presentation. It's always sitting down, talking, pulling tools out that we need. And if they don't, every time I go, it might be a different tool. So it's even the seasoned agents I go with and I bring on, if I don't want to do it myself, and I just because I don't do any myself. So I might do a 50-50 with the agent, a seasoned agent. And we're always learning from each other every single marketing presentation.
And Julia, are you doing anything with role playing for the new buyer engagement?
Absolutely. We have had already, I think 3. We had one, just training session about what's going on. And I said, I want you all to come to the table next time with, some questions that you think some objections you might have, and we're going to role play. And we did that once, and then everyone got into it and was like, well, what about? And I'm like, all right, write your questions down again, and then come at us with your questions as if you're the buyer, and we'll do role playing again. So I believe so much in role playing. It just gets your tongue out of your way because you've said it, you've learned it, and you're not role playing, so I don't have to tell you. So
Right.
Good morning.
And Julia, I was hang on.
And you, it's you. That's okay. I miss you every time you're not here.
Hey, Rob Durso, can you mute yourself?
we miss you too, Rob.
Rob
Sorry,
Durso.
guys. I'm sorry.
No worries.
That was nice to hear.
Yeah, if you can just mute yourself. I don't have
I will.
didn't-
I'm sorry. I didn't
Okay.
realize.
no worries. Yeah, I didn't log in as the host today. So anyway, I was out with an agent this weekend. We were door knocking, and somebody said, "Hey, I heard that I might not have to pay, a commission. What's going on with all that news?" And I just instinctually said, "Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. There are some exciting new changes happening where both buyers and sellers have more transparency in the transaction. If you're looking to do something or somebody, let's have a conversation about how these changes might impact you." So it was just like automatic, and I wasn't being defensive. And I feel like, I want to be defensive because I don't agree with it. But I don't think that puts us in a better position to serve clients. I think it looks defensive. I mean, I don't need to say anything else. It looks like you're trying to, defend a practice, which no matter how much you talk, the more you talk, the more you get into the quicksand, in my opinion. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? And have you actively role played what those conversations look like with, consumers? And are you taking the offensive and saying, "Hey, I just want to see if you heard about some of the exciting new changes"?
If you want me to dive in real quick, and I have to, unfortunately, I have to jump
ahead.
off.
कोई ना
Go ahead.
at least we can.
All right, so Julie, I guess if you can talk, that's great. If not, thanks for popping on.
Thanks so much. And I was just going to point out that Rob, it was I
Thank
don't know
you.
if you can hear me still.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Next time I
Okay.
will do एक notepad भी चल नहीं जाऊंगी.
Ruchika, can you mute yourself, please?
Oh, sure. I didn't know this.
Yep. No worries.
So I do, I'm actually just moving out of my house. So I have to run. But what I was going to say quickly is, Rob, when we had our conversation the other day, it shifted my energy around this, you hear everybody being defensive. And I think taking the offense on any change is always important. And I teach my team that, but this one was a little bit more of a struggle to dive in with a positive attitude. But since our conversation, I've shifted that, and I do talk about how the buyers, this is a good change for the buyers because they're going to be more proactive in finding the right representation versus just finding, calling and finding somebody. They're going to really take the time. When you think about the time that we invest in listing and presentations compared to buyer presentations, the buyers need our help more than ever. So you've helped me shift my energy around that, Rob. So I want to thank you. And yes, I think offensive versus defensive, and everyone's, all the agents are complaining about it versus saying the buyers should, the buyers will be in a better position if they really take the time to understand what this really means for them. And here, let me explain it to you. So that's my take. And honestly, Rob, I got that from you. So thank you.
You're welcome. And then Julie, before you drop off, the last thing I'd mention is now that we're gonna highlight what services and value we have, I think it now behooves us to improve the value and the service we have so we can command the fees that we're looking to maintain, and especially in the high end, where sellers might say or buyers might say, I don't want to pay 2.5% of a $3 million or $5 million property. I'll leave you with that. I know you got to run, but thank you for joining.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm sorry I'm so rushed, but I would love to do this again when we can. So thanks for including me, Rob, and wishing everybody a beautiful day, and we'll talk soon.
You got it. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So that was interesting, huh? I mean, Julie's a pretty talented.
Rob, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, I've got a question for you because I know how to handle it, but we haven't had the opportunity to go on a listing appointment to discuss the new rules and laws. So what would happen if you went to a listing and the seller never really mentioned anything about the new laws and the changes that are going on? How would you present it to them? I mean, I know how I would. I'd like to hear your opinion on it.
So I would definitely highlight the fact that there are changes likely to happen in July. I would talk to the merits of providing a compensation to a buyer's agent, just like I always have. And think about it this way, Ron. Let's suppose they don't ask about it, right? And then a week later, they're watching the news, and because they just listed their house for sale, they hear, oh, I don't have to pay a commission. Don't you think it's going to be 10 times harder to explain it after you didn't bring it up? And I'd like to have
I would definitely bring it up. If they didn't say anything, I would just tell them that there's new laws being presented to the industry in July, and I just want to let you know a little bit about it and educate them that way. I would probably tell them that, it's probably a good idea that we still continue to pay buyer's agents, but the representation is going to be buyer's brokers agreement. And then there's going to be, I represent you as a transaction broker in the transaction. I would have to practice a little bit. I'm going to practice that with our role play on Thursday with our group. So I just wanted to get some things clear on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, when in doubt, always talk about it, in my opinion, before it becomes, something that you have to defend later.
Yeah.
Rob?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Chopper?
So I had that conversation the last 4 listing appointments, and actually yesterday with Dan. And I first say to him, yes, it's going to be a change. It's not going to happen to July 1st. I've been fortunate. A lot of people that I've dealt with are business owners. Like the fellow yesterday has a major tree removal company. And I said, hey, Jimmy, would you go to a house, remove a tree, hoping to get paid? And he kind of related to that. I said, there are going to be some changes. What I like about it is going to be a purging. I like to use the quote of the statistic that 55% of all realtors last year did 0 or 1 unit. And then I segue to say that my 4 dogs could have sold the house last year. I explained to them, it's going to be a great purging of our industry. It's going to get rid of a lot of the hobbyists. A lot of the information that's there is, and I like the quote I got from the guy from KCM, today's headlines are to terrify, not to clarify. And I'm totally open with them on the situation. I'm not afraid of it. I think I'm excited about it. Been doing some role playing with our team members. And I said, guys, we're the Yankees. You're not playing against the local high school team anymore. You're gonna be playing against the San Francisco Giants and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now you have to bring up your value prop. What are you doing for people? You're always gonna have that one off that goes, oh, I found the house, why should I pay you? But you know, they're working on that. We have a whole dialogue and a whole list that we're working on that we're gonna present to our team the middle of May on the value that a buyer's agent provides and the things that a buyer's agent. But to answer the question, I'm not running away from it. I'm
So
running.
Chopper, you know what's one interesting thing, which in New Jersey is it's new, and if we were pre-settlement, I think we might be breaching our fiduciary duty if we didn't show a property that offered 0. And now a buyer can tell his or her buyer's agent that I choose not to see properties that don't offer compensation. That's in the New Jersey form. So it's more apparent that, you know, if we don't offer compensation, that we're going to reduce the visibility and the viability of buyers that might be interested in buying your house. And if we limit the amount of activity, do you think we're going to get more or less buyers? Do you think we're going to get more or less offers? Do you think offers are going to be higher or lower? Is the way I would have the conversation with homeowners and let them answer that question. Because in every circumstance, if there's less qualified buyers and less activity, you're going to get you know, a lower offer. I don't know any world where that would be anything different. So
I point out to them now that all the buyers have to have a buyer's agency agreement, which is good. And the one benefit of all the headlines that they said our fees are 6%, so it's easier to get 5.5 because they think it's 6 now. So there's a lot of silver linings in there. So it makes it a little easier. I heard I don't have to pay you 6%. You're right. I'll do it for 5.5, just for you.
oh, that is true, right? The end of the 6%. And Chopper, you know, you and everybody on this call are not the people I'm concerned with about addressing those items. It's, you know, how do we, you know, instill that where it's second nature, where you don't have to think about how you're going to answer those questions with their clients, and their clients are clients of the team. That's a reflection upon all of us. So those are the things that, you know, I want to address. And I think, you know, don't assume they know what to say. If you bring them on appointments or they bring you on an appointment, maybe listen to them instead of stealing the show, so that you can kind of see where their skill level is. And that's a way of helping them grow, in my opinion. Right? I mean, the first couple of engagements is probably them hearing how we engage the consumer. And then after a while, we need to be the observer, even if it might be at times slightly painful, because that's how we grow and learn.
I couldn't agree more with that one.
Nothing changes. The nothing changes, but everything changes kind of scripts. I kind of dig it. And that, like, I had one over the weekend where I said to them, what did you pay, Mr. Seller, when you bought your house? What commission did you pay out of pocket? And they had said, well, I didn't pay a commission. And I had said, well, actually you did. And I said, it's really a matter of how we can figure these numbers back and forth, right? And then I'd walk through to explain it's different, but it's not really different. And I said, do you know how much equity you got in the last couple of years? And they said, yeah, I think I got like 30%. I said, actually got 41% in your market. And I said, now, can you imagine, how would you come up with a down payment without having a commission paid? How would you buy this house today? And they all said, well, I couldn't. And I said, so you would rather limit your buyer pool to that? Or you would rather have more buyers come in and have all of the agents in North Jersey working to your advantage, opposed to just Zillow, who's going to have a limited set of views?
And to Glenn's point, because Glenn's great with the numbers, you need to know your numbers. You know, what is your final number? You know, are list to sell? Are you at 106%, 109%? You know what the average is in your MLS and point out to them, the average is 97.8. Well, we're at 105.6, you know? That little bit of difference makes up for any fee that they would have to pay, you know? But I love how Glenn put that it was, you know, they didn't pay. And again, I like just to say, you know, it was easy with my tree guy. You're gonna go cut down trees and I hope you get paid, you know, but just anything that somebody does if they're working. And even if they're retired, when you worked for IBM, did you go there on Monday hoping you're gonna get paid on Friday? You know, there's different ways to present this. You know, I think if you know a little background on your client, you can make it to fit in their eyes.
So Chopper, I want to acknowledge a new guest on our call here. Hopefully she'll be a regular, Rashika. Rashika had a phenomenal month last month, #3 individual for New Jersey. She's with us through the merging of the Secaucus office. Rashika had a question for me when we met about expanding her market. Are you in a place where you're able to talk, Rashika? Rashika? Okay, maybe she's muted because she's with clients. But Rashika is doing most of her business in Secaucus. She moved to Livingston, and she's like, there's this one company, Premier Brokers, that they discount. They take a 1% commission on the listing side. And, you know, her first listing, she was able to, you know, strong arm a 1 3/4, but it was a struggle. And as she wants to grow, she's like, they have the #1 market share. Well, lo and behold, I ran the numbers for Premier, and they were selling their listings at 100.87% of their ask price. And the rest of the market was selling it at 104%. And Rashika was in the price range of the rest of the market. So ironically, by listing with Premier and getting, you know, less than 1% premium when you sell your house, the rest of the market was delivering over a 4% premium. So were you really gaining anything? And these are things I think we need to be more astute to. We need to pay attention to because they matter, right? If you're a homeowner, and you know the competition that's got the #1 market share and the biggest discounter is netting sellers less. If I get in the door, I think I'm going to win that, and I'm going to get paid fairly on that win. And it's all about how your ability to articulate that value. Rashika, you're still not able to talk, right? If you are, you're on mute. But anyway, that was the conversation that we had just this past Friday. And, you know, it was simply by running the stats for that ML, you know, the broker ID, and showing how, you know, price is only part of the equation. Performance would trump price if you can deliver more than your cost. So anyway.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Rob,
Yep.
It's Charles. How are you?
Good.
Good. So interesting thing happened. I was at the local coffee shop, and a guy says to me, "Hey, I hear that the commissions are going to be lower for buyers and sellers." So I said, "Oh, that's a great question." I said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "That goes into effect in July, you said, right?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "So if I did a price opinion for you today on your home to sell, and it came in at 500,000, and you were going to provide a 5 to 6% commission, and then we put your house on the market in August, are you going to lower your price by 2.5 to 3%?" Right? So he goes, "Well, no." And I said, "Okay, and now a buyer is going to have to pay a buyer's agent, you know, let's say 2 to 3%. I said, "So is the purchase and sale of a home less expensive or more expensive to buyers and sellers?" He's like, "I never thought about that." So I just don't think consumers are thinking about this in terms of the real impact on people. Found it interesting.
And it's an emotional reaction, not a
Yes.
practical reaction.
Right, or logical, or they don't think it through. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting.
But you know, look, you know, Charles, we have some of the most successful, brightest in the organization on this call here, and you know, to the extent that we could have 3, 4, 5 different ways to address this, but all of them intentionally, I think, drive value.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I hope that, you know, when somebody asks you that question or even makes that accusation, right, that we have the confidence to stay the course and, you know, educate them as to why this is good for both sides, which doesn't really sound like it's possible, but I think buyers and sellers win. I think losers are agents that can't demonstrate their value, agents that can't communicate the change. I think those are the people that are going to wind up losing.
Oh, for sure.
And
We had further conversation. I mean, that was just the way to like interrupt the pattern.
but
you
no,
know?
I think that was, I think it was Charles. I think that was a very insightful way of getting the, you know, the person questioning you, right, to come to the same conclusion, correct?
100%.
And you know, a lot of times, you know, whatever the challenge is, you know, like Rashika, you know, her office is in Secaucus, now she lives in Livingston. We have this discount company there, but I just gave her a bazooka to go out there and talk to people. And if you get inside somebody's house and the stats don't lie, you know, you're a value. You know, if they're charging 1 and you're getting more than 3% more, if you charge less than 4, you're a value.
Oh yeah,
Right.
your analysis and way to present it back to them was fantastic.
Correct. So, you know, I think you know, I'm not concerned again about us as a group here, you know, getting through any of these challenges, but as we grow our teams, we have to be inspecting and looking at how they're addressing that, because I think they might get spooked by the media. They might get spooked by, you know, the aggression of a occasional buyer or seller saying, hey, I don't need to pay now, or I don't want to pay you 3% or 2.5% on the buy side. But, you know, this is why we exist. If we can't, you know, eloquently and articulate the value proposition we have, I don't know, we don't deserve it. It might be a little bit controversial, but that's just how I feel.
I agree with you 100%.
So we're 4 minutes over. I do have to run. I have to go up to Secaucus. Have a productive week. I hope to see you all on Friday. And if you have any questions, let me know directly.
And
Bye,
Rob,
everybody. Yes.
Rob, the old Italians call it Seacock. I go to
Seacock.
you go to Ganelli country.
Thank you.
Have
for
a
that
Great week, everybody.
Thanks for that clarification, Chopper. Take care,
Anytime.
everybody.
I don't
Have a
want
great
you,
week.
I don't want them to
Bye-bye.
think you're a tourist. Okay.
You got
Thanks
it.
for
Bye-bye.
including me, guys.
You got it.
Thanks,
Leave
Julie.
leave the
Bye-bye.
gun, take the cannolis.
Exactly.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.